Okay, I think I did it right. Should be live. Send out the tweet. Oh, Nick messaged me today. He got a new computer with upgraded stuff than he had before. So he's like, maybe I could start making more content and we could do more streams and stuff. So that would be fun, right? We might record something today or tomorrow, me and him. Yeah, that would be. Oh, I think so. Working the weed dispensary. The last that I knew, he was working at a weed shop. He's had a couple jobs since I've known him. Hey guys, it's Simmy, and this is Wrestling Unlimited, as it's Wednesday, and that means tonight was AEW Dynamite. And I thought tonight's Dynamite was a pretty good show. I wouldn't call it great or anything, because there were times where I was just like, what the heck am I watching? Like that woman's contract signing. That was what the hell did I just watch kind of thing. But other than that, the show is pretty good. I enjoyed my time with AEW Dynamite tonight. Some good stuff, some interesting stuff, some okay stuff. I would say, like, thinking about it, the 8-man tag was kind of meh as well for me. It was just a jumble, if that makes any sense. But overall, not a bad episode of Dynamite, a pretty good episode of Dynamite. We built some stuff up. They announced a few new matches for Forbidden Door. They announced the brackets. We're going to get into all that and break that down for the Owen Hart Foundation tournament, both the men's and the women's side. But we got Luke over here with us too. Luke, what did you think of tonight's AEW Dynamite?
I thought it was okay. I wouldn't say it was great. There was some stuff that I was kind of bored with, like, the women's thing. I mean, the whole like Daniel Garcia thing, I kind of thought was what the heck.
I was gonna wait for that one, but since you brought it up, was it just me or was he wrestling more like a heel in that match?
He was kind of wrestling like a heel.
Okay, I thought so.
I was just kind of like, what the heck is going on here?
Also, not sponsored, but this Bruce Buffer or Michael Buffer, I think it is, Ready to Rumble energy drink. Not bad, and it's only 99 cents. I got it at Big Lots today.
Yeah, it's Michael Buffer.
I always get the two mixed up. It's Michael Buffer, though. I'm seeing him. He's here on the back of it, if that'll focus. Michael Buffer. They call it the iconic voice of boxing brings you the heavyweight champion of energy drinks. I wouldn't go that far, because Monster, Nos, Prime, they all taste better. Doesn't taste bad. And for 99 cents, you can't pass it. Pass it up. Let's see. 100 calories. How much sugar's in this thing? 22 grams of sugar. Not bad. So
honestly, I think Bruce Buffer is a lot cooler.
But for 99 cents,
I really
check it out. It's not bad at all.
I really like the it's time.
Oh Lord, your voice got so high that your mic cut out.
It did?
Yeah. You hit your gate.
I don't know. I like the it's time.
So do I.
I think that's a lot cooler than let's get ready to rumble.
It's time, or let's get ready to rumble. Speaking of Ready to Rumble, I love that movie. Have you ever seen that movie? Ready to Rumble, the WCW movie?
I've seen No Holds Bar.
Oh Lord. No. You need to watch Ready to Rumble with David Arquette. Everyone shits on that movie. I love it. It's David Arquette. His dad's a cop and wants him to become a cop, but he wants to become a wrestler. Then in the movie, there is some random guy. I can't remember his last name or his first name, but his name's Sinclair, and he runs WCW. And their big star is Jimmy King, and he like gets taken out to the point where like they kick him out of WCW, and so like the heels are now running WCW, and so David Arquette and his buddy go find Jimmy King to bring him back to WCW. Like Goldberg's in it, Booker T is in it, Juventud Guerrero, I think Rey Mysterio's in it, a bunch of WCW wrestlers, and it culminates with David Arquette's character becomes a wrestler, and they do a triple cage match. Like this movie, hilarious. People shit on this movie all the time saying it's a crappy movie. I love it. I think it's funny as shit. Sting's in it too. Yes. Trey said Sting's in it too. Correct. Here, hold on. I'm going to pull up the cast list for Ready to Rumble. I know we're getting off topic here, but I want to see all the WCW wrestlers that are in it.
Apparently, like John Cena is like a background character in this movie.
So there is a spot where I think they're in a gym, and I think it's the Goldberg scene, and Cena is in the background working out. He's got when he had like the bleached not mullet but flat
blonde
top
hair.
Yeah. So let's see all the wrestlers in this movie. Diamond Dallas Page, Goldberg, and Sting. There's like the big three, but I know Booker T's in it. Michael Buffer is in this movie. Bam Bam Bigelow, Billy Kidman, Conan, Sid Vicious, Disco Inferno, Juventud Guerrera,
Billy Kidman,
Randy Savage, Charles Robinson, Gene Okerlund, Mean Gene's in the movie. Let's see who else is here. That's Booker, Stephanie Bellers. But yeah, no, I love this movie, Rey Mysterio. There's one scene where they're trying to find a ride, and they get a ride in this van with a bunch of nuns, and they get the nuns to start singing "Running with the Devil." It's great. Or there's another scene where Scott Can, who is the friend of David Arquette. So David Arquette's talking to this kid about like hacking into the internet or whatever, trying to find Jimmy King. And he's like, "Oh, you got a Walkman here. Can I listen to it?" And I want to say he starts dancing in the background and singing Britney Spears. It's hilarious. You got to watch this movie. It's so good. Like I said, people shit on Ready to Rumble, but I love this movie. I'll watch it anytime it's on TV and I see it, I stop and watch it. But I put it on and watch it at least once or twice a year myself. It's hilarious.
Have you ever played the video game Ready to Rumble for the PlayStation 2?
With the guy with the big afro?
Yeah.
Yep, I played both of them. I played 1 and 2.
I think there was one for the...
It was on everything. Because I think I had it on GameCube.
Well, there's GameCube, PlayStation 2. There was like another one as well.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I had it on the GameCube. And it was on Dreamcast. It was at the time it was on like everything. I think there was an N64 version. But I think they even had like
N64.
I think they even had like a third one, Ready to Rumble Revolution on the Wii, maybe, if I'm thinking correctly. But yeah, no. Ready to Rumble, great movie. Ready to Rumble Boxing, a really good game. Ready to Rumble, or just Rumble, Let's Get Ready to Rumble Energy, not bad. Like I said, that's something that I'll seek out all the time. But if I see it at a store and it's 99 cents, I'm going to grab a couple of them. But regardless, we got a lot to talk about here as far as AEW. Nope. As far as AEW Dynamite does go. And before we get into all that, I want to say thank you for joining us here. Twitch.tv/PWU Unlimited, YouTube.com/Pro Wrestling Unlimited, and podcast services all around the globe like Stitcher, Spotify, Google Pod, Apple Pod, Anchor, iHeartRadio, and so much more. Remember, if you are watching live on Twitch, you can help us out a couple of different ways. You can either help us out by hitting that donate button down below, or by donating Twitch bits in the live chat. Also, remember, you can help us out by subscribing to the channel, one of two different ways. You can either subscribe with a tiered subscription, or you can subscribe with Amazon Prime, because remember, if you have Amazon Prime, then you have Prime Gaming. Prime Gaming gives you a lot of cool things like free games, free stuff for games, and you always get one free subscription to any Twitch channel you want to subscribe to throughout the month. And I greatly appreciate it if you did right here, Pro Wrestling Unlimited. Also, remember to help us out on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. That way you know when we post new videos. That way you know when we go live. And that way you know when we post to the community tab. If you want to support the channel in another way, you can do so by becoming a channel member. As a channel member, you can do a couple of different things there. You can subscribe at the tier 1 subscription level, even if it's just the $1 level. Highly, greatly appreciate it. And you can do so either on YouTube as a member or patreon.com/PW Unlimited. And remember, get your comment, question, or concern read live on the air. You can do so by donating a super chat in the live chat. And finally, head over to the Epic Game Store. Head over to the Epic Game Store and buy something. Whether you're buying a new game like Madden NFL 25, you could pre-order that now. Getting an older game like Hades, maybe you want to get Hades 2, or you're claiming the free game, which is Red Out 2, just for a couple more hours. Tomorrow, the new game will be freshly frosted. Or you're getting stuff for Rocket League, Fortnite, or Fall Guys. Use our code PW Unlimited at checkout, and you will be supporting us at no extra cost. Again, use code PWU NLIMITED for all Epic Games and Epic Game Store purchases. But with that, and the intro accidentally played again. My bad. Fix that over there. Boom. With that, as far as AEW Dynamite does go, before we get into Dynamite, I say we take a look at the brackets for the Owen Hart Cup, the men's and the women's. What do you think? You want to just go with that first to get it out of the way, since there are 2 matches in the tournament to talk about tonight?
Sure, we can do that.
All right, let me pull those up here on the screen. There's the women's. There's the men's. So, look at this here. It's on the screen. Boom. All right, so if we look at this here, we got the men's brackets. We got Claudio Castagnoli and Pac, which did take place tonight. Bryan Danielson and Shingo Takagi, which will be taking place at Forbidden Door. And then on the other side, it's Rey Fenix and Jay White. Oh my God, that match is going to be great. And then Jeff Jarrett versus a wild card. Now, Jeff Jarrett being in the tournament, they played it up like Jarrett's only in the tournament because he was friends with Owen, but I don't know. As far as the wild card does go, that could be anybody. That could be somebody from AEW. That could be somebody from New Japan. That could be somebody from CMLL. I didn't hear if they teased who the wild card is. Did you hear anything? Maybe I just missed it.
I did not hear who it could be.
I didn't hear any teases for the wild card either. And I would say let's give a prediction on based off of, these 8 who we think it's going to be. But without knowing the wild card, I think it almost makes it too hard to predict. Because it's like, I would probably go, if I'm looking right now, not knowing the wild card, I would say Bryan Danielson. Who do you got of these 8 men winning? Because remember, the winner gets the world title shot at All In. So my thinking is, by All In, Will Ospreay will have that world title, and we get Will Ospreay, Bryan Danielson for the world title at All In. What do you think?
I think it should be Bryan Danielson, but what if the wild card is MJF?
MJF, could be. I didn't think about that one. Oh, wow.
Because remember, MJF never got a rematch for the world title.
That is true.
So maybe in the finals, it's Danielson versus MJF. Danielson wants to retire as world champion, and MJF wants his title back because he never got a rematch.
Ooh, that makes it hard. Again, like I said, it's hard to predict this without knowing who the wild card is. It's like they do have Shingo from New Japan, so it could be another New Japan person or a CMLL person, but I don't know if this Jeff Jarrett match is going to take place at Forbidden Door or not. So I'm just going to say, based off of what we know, Bryan Danielson, but you make a good point with MJF. Now, as far as the women's brackets do go, we do have that right here as well. Let me... so we have the women's bracket here as well. On one side, it is Willow Nightingale and Serena Deeb. I believe they said that match is taking place Friday on Rampage. Nyla Rose and Chris Statlander, which did take place tonight. Other side is Deonna Purrazzo and Hikaru Shida, and then Mariah May and Saraya. Now, the winner gets a shot at the Women's World Championship. I would assume by All In, it's still Toni Storm. I don't see Toni Storm dropping that belt before All In. So, with Toni Storm, it's a hard one. Is Toni a heel or a babyface to you?
To me, she's a heel.
She's a heel to you? That's what I would say.
She's one of those. She's one of those crazy heels almost.
Right. It's
I don't know how to word it. Actually, no, I really don't.
I get what you're saying. So it's like maybe a baby face. No, I'm stupid as all get out. It's got to be Mariah May, and we get Mariah May and Toni Storm at All In.
What if have Mariah May win, and Tony's like, uh-oh.
Tony's like, oh, Mariah, you're just gonna sit down and let me pin you. And you're trying to do a finger poke of doom, but Mariah's not having it.
And then Mariah's like, no, I want that world title.
Right? Lay down for me and let me pin you. Nope. Or she fakes like she's going to 1, 2 kick out, or even kick out at 1 or something. And Tony's like, Mariah, what are you doing? And then Mariah's like, trying to win this belt. And I think, honestly, Mariah should win. I think Mariah should win the tournament and the championship.
Yeah. I think her winning the belt at All In would get a huge pop.
Oh, tremendous, especially in the UK. She's from the UK.
Yeah, Tony Khan loves those like hometown victories.
Yep. So, are you saying Mariah May as well?
Yeah, if it's not her, then it's gonna be Saraya.
You think Saraya's in the world title match 2 years in a row? Tony Storm would be in the world title match 2 years in a row as well.
Well,
because we had the triple threat last year. No, the four-way. It was a four-way last year.
yeah. I'd say if it's not Mariah May, then it's probably gonna be Saraya.
Okay. Not a bad prediction.
Because the reason why I say Saraya is because they keep having her do stuff with Tony Storm and Mariah May.
Right. Now, speaking of the UK really fast, AEW did announce today that on August 21st, which I believe is the Wednesday before All In, they're actually going to do Dynamite and Collision. And then pull this up right here. August 21st is... No. Wait, that's September. Wrong. Yes, it's a Wednesday. They're going to be live from Cardiff. Well, they didn't say live, but they're going to tape... they're going to tape Collision and Dynamite from Cardiff, Wales, which is very interesting. That's the first time they're taping Collision and Dynamite outside of North America. They've done the US, they've done Canada, but this is the first time outside of North America that they will be doing a Collision and Dynamite taping. So that should be really cool. I would assume, we're going to watch them on a tape delay. They're not going to be live on TBS and TNT. And they didn't say, so All In is on the Sunday, so we don't have to worry about like the Saturday show getting moved, the Collision. Yeah. So that's another interesting note that they did announce today, that those shows will be taped in Cardiff, Wales, of all places. So that's very, very, very cool. But as far as Dynamite does go, as we get into that show, let's see, pull my notes up. AEW Dynamite comes on the air with Excalibur welcoming us alongside Tony Schiavone and Taz as MJF music hits, and we're ready to go commercial free for the first match, MJF versus Roosh. Honestly, I didn't think much going into this match. I'm like, oh, this should be an okay match. It was really good. It was a great opener, and I think it being commercial free helped it tremendously because it wasn't, it felt more like a pay-per-view match because there was no commercials, no breaks, no none of that. So I really enjoyed this match. I thought it was really good, and I'm glad that there was like no LIJ coming in or whatever, Los Ingobernables coming in and interfering and any of that. And we haven't really seen Roosh with any of those guys recently anyways, but I was just glad that it was just MJF and Roosh going out there and having a really good match.
Well, I think the reason why they haven't been out there with Roosh probably because they no longer have Jose the assistant.
True, but they still got, I think Drillistico's around and Preston Vance is still around. So
I haven't seen Preston Vance in forever.
Oh yeah, no, me neither. But it's the fact of, they're still with the company. I mean, just because Jose's gone doesn't mean you still can't have the group, is what I'm saying.
I think Drillistico, I think he's been only doing stuff in Ring of Honor, I think.
I believe so. As far as this match does go, though, they started off with a big slugfest as Roosh tried a drop down, but MJF opted for a Fargo strut and a rude swivel. Chop battle ensued, but MJF went to the eyes and poked him. Crowd popped for it. Roosh then got a cheap shot, a headbutt, busted open MJF's face, and commentary's like, oh, it took this long for MJF to bleed? Wonder where the blood's coming from. And they're like, he could get a broken nose. Maybe he bit his lip. Maybe he bit his... I'm like, what are you talking about? He bit his lip or what? They got weird with trying to figure out where the blood was coming from. Anyways, there was a couple flash roll-ups here. MJF spiked Roosh with a cradle DDT and got a 2 off of it. MJF tried to float over, but landed awkwardly, only to sucker Roosh in with a Snap Storm Zero, kind of pile driver-ish, showing some possum as well. Played possum. Taking too much time, though. Roosh caught him, and there was a MJF charged at him with an overhead belly-to-belly into the corner. MJF then tried to leap off the second rope, but slipped, and Roosh threw a right hand, followed by a straight jacket pile driver for a 2. The fight then went to the outside, where Roosh repeatedly slammed MJF into the barricade. Roosh then slid a chair into the ring, but it was a little too much. Paul Turner got distracted by it, so MJF got choked out with a wire cable here. Roosh then ripped up a fan sign before missing a bull's horns. and ate a drop toe hold onto the chair. Both then fought on the apron. This time, Roosh hit an overhead belly to belly to the floor. Back inside the ring, Roosh called for the finish, but took too long and was decked by an MJF lariat. It was a spine buster and some punches and bunches by MJF, who hit a heat seeker, followed by a stalling brain buster for the big victory. So MJF picks up the win as expected, and we move on forward. Before we get to the post-match, what do you think of the match itself?
Pretty expected win for MJF. I thought it was a decent opener overall.
Yeah, no, I liked it, and I thought, like I said, the no commercials really helped it. It made it feel more like a pay-per-view match because we didn't have the break in the middle or anything. So I thought it was a great opener for the show. And then, unless I've missed something, why the hell are the Cage of Agony, Brian Cage and the Gates of Agony and Hechicero, why are they mad at MJF? They come on the big screen.
I don't know.
They come on the big screen, and they're so the EVPs made the match official for Forbidden Door that MJF will face Hechicero. The crowd didn't really react to this, which they don't really ever really react to the CMLL guys. And I'm like, oh, this could be fun. And then they said the EVPs. So there's interesting. And they played this up later too. They said the EVPs made the match, but then commentary kept saying, well, we got to wait till we hear if it's official later. We got to wait till we hear if it's official. I assume it's official because they said it, but this plays into later when the Young Bucks came out for their match and commentary was like, and there's the Young Bucks, our bosses. And like, I think Taz said that. Tony Schiavone was like, well, no, I work for Tony Khan and this and that. And so I'm not liking this whole like power dynamic thing here because it makes no sense when we know that Tony Khan is the overall boss. So it's like, why are some people loyal to the Bucks as being in charge and some people are loyal to Tony as being in charge when overall Tony is the owner, the president, the CEO, the boss, even over the Young Bucks? Yeah, you know, it's just confusing.
I get it. Like, I like the idea of like the evil general manager trying to take everybody out. I've always liked those storylines. Like, trust me, I do. I really like those. Like, WWE's done those a lot. They work out really well. Like, trying to think, like the John Laurinaitis one.
Yes.
Where he tried to like put down Cena or
people power.
There was the Authority trying to take down like Daniel Bryan.
Yep.
Like, those worked out really well.
But the reason they worked is because we were supposed to know that they were in charge. Yes, there was, the WWE board of directors who oversaw everything, but they weren't having a power struggle with the board of directors. They weren't, being overruled at times by the actual boss. We've already seen the Young Bucks try to do things, and then Christopher Daniels come out and go, oh, no, you're not allowed to do that because Tony Khan said we're doing this instead. So we already know that there's somebody that is overruling them. When they tried to give Jack Perry the TNT belt, Christopher Daniels came out and said, nope, Tony Khan is wanting me to inform you guys that we are going to crown a champion, not hand the belt to somebody. And then they announced the ladder match and this and that. But it's like, because of stuff like that, I can't get into this storyline with the Bucks trying to run things. You know what I mean? Because we already know that Tony Khan is overruling them in things. So why is it whenever they do something heelish or not in favor of the company, all we're supposed to think is, Tony's going to overrule it. You know what I mean? It's just, that's the only thing I don't like about this is we've already seen Tony Khan play that power game of, I got more power than you guys. I'm the real one that's in charge. So I don't know. It's just a little awkward for me and weird.
Yeah, I get that. Unless they do another part where they take out Tony Khan again. Take out Tony Khan and Christopher Daniels.
And even at that, when Tony Khan was gone, the show didn't feel any different. The only difference was they gave Christian a title shot and it didn't get overruled. Other than that, it still felt like the same show with Tony Khan running it. They didn't do
in the intros.
Yes, but I felt like they didn't do enough to make us feel like, oh, this is different with new people in charge. It still felt like the exact same stuff. So,
you know what they could have done?
Go for it.
A whole episode of Dynamite where it's just nobody but them. They're in like every segment.
That would have been interesting. Or, see, I would have liked something like that, or something to where it's like all the heels or people that have been kissing their butts are getting opportunities all in one night. Not just like, oh, we're going to give Christian a title shot. Oh, for some reason, we don't like Swerve and Swerve don't like us. And that's the other thing. They're supposed to have power and be in charge. We've already seen Swerve not even respect them. Like, Swerve's the champion. They could threaten to just, strip Swerve of the belt. But we saw that one angle where they were walking over to gorilla position and Swerve was just sitting in their chair like, hey, what's up? I'm not scared of you guys. Huh. So it's just like people don't respect them as even being in charge or fear them as having power. So to me, it's them as the EVPs because of how this is now played out. And again, I'm letting this play out. It's not playing out the way I would like because it's showing that, A, there are wrestlers that feel like they don't have to worry about their power. They can just do whatever they want anyways because Tony Khan's there to give them what they want, like with Swerve, So I don't know. It's just been very weird. I don't like the power dynamic thing because we already know, and I'm beating a dead horse saying the same thing. I don't like the power dynamic because we just know Tony's got all the power anyways. The EVPs really have power to do things, but if they don't do the right thing, it's whatever. So
yeah, I mean, we'll see how long this lasts. I mean, I think eventually it's probably going to lead to them. It's probably going to lead to Tony Khan just be like, you guys are no longer like EVPs.
Well, no, they've already said he can't do that. They have what are called ironclad contracts to where they can't be fired and they can't be stripped of their EVP titles.
Or they can just do a segment where it's like your contracts have expired.
Or Tony somehow gets them to put their ironclad, not put their full contracts on the line, but put their EVP statuses on the line. Maybe that's what we do in Blood and Guts. Blood and Guts could be the final, the Elite versus Team AEW. And if the Elite win, they get more power. If Team AEW win, they're stripped of their EVP status. That would be something interesting to do.
Yeah, that could work. And then, but they're still like EVPs, like just
for real, in real life. Yeah.
In real life, they're just not on TV.
Correct. Or they win. If you want to stretch the storyline out, they win. They now have more power than Tony Khan because maybe Tony puts his, maybe he says, okay, you want to be, you put your executive vice presidentship on the line. I'll put my presidentship on the line. If you win, you're no longer EVPs, but if you win, you are now presidents of the company. So then they're either equals or have more power than Tony. And we play that up, and then maybe at All In, we can finally resolve the whole story. Just saying. So then we can finally get the month and a half or whatever of them with actual power over everybody. That would be an interesting way to go about it. And then just wrap it all up at All In. They're WrestleMania. Or finally, Team AEW and Tony Khan wins.
I feel like this storyline would be a lot more fun if Kenny was involved.
There's a couple things that would be better. Like Hangman needs to come back. Hangman's supposed to come back in the next month. He's supposed to be back next month. And I don't know what side he's going to be.
What if the sides are like, sorry to cut you off, but like what if the sides are like the EVPs is Matt, Nick Jackson, Okada, Jack Perry, and Christian Cage. And the other side is Hangman, The Acclaimed, Swerve, and Daniel Garcia.
So you're kind of getting to where I was gonna get to. I want to see where it's got these teams ready for Blood and Guts, but then the Elite tell us Hangman's coming back and is going to be in this match. But then we see something with Hangman where we're not fully sure if he's aligned with the Elite or not. But then at the same time, it's like, but does he want to be on Swerve's team? So you got that power dynamic, or not the power dynamic, but you have that interesting story of, is Hangman going to pick the Elite, his friends, or would he actually really team with Swerve? And we don't know till the night of Blood and Guts.
I think you'd have to team with Swerve because remember, the Elite basically suspended him for laying his hands on a referee, remember?
Right. And that's another interesting wrinkle in this, why he maybe or maybe not.
Hangman would just be like, no, you suspended me. You don't suspend your friends like that.
Exactly. But speaking of Swerve, Strickland, yeah, well, Ospreay had a face-to-face confrontation tonight. I think this was good, not great. Because I felt like they were trying to shoehorn some stuff in here and try to make things feel more. Because I didn't like the whole, don't make it personal. And then Swerve going at the end, what if I want to make it personal? Why? I'm glad that Swerve was more heel here than he has been, because I think Swerve is a better heel than a babyface. So that is a positive coming out of this. But regardless, huge ovation for both men as Excalibur talked about the, quote, healthy friendship they have for each other, which wasn't there by the end of this. Ospreay said that the last time that they were in the ring together, he snapped the AEW World title from him last week, and talked about being a world champion on 3 different continents at the same time, which, yeah, kind of, but not really. Like, I don't see the Rev Pro as a world title, but Strickland is going to find out what the rest already know. Ospreay is the best wrestler in the world today. And here's my question for you. Do you see Will Ospreay as the best wrestler today? Because I see him as the best in-ring wrestler. I don't know if at this moment he's the best overall wrestler, where it's ring, mic, everything put together. What do you think?
I think the best overall wrestler today is probably Cody.
Right now, yes, with like everything that goes into being a pro wrestler, where it's, you know, being in the ring, having great matches, great promos on the mic, but then also doing the whole, you know, behind the scenes things and the appearances and this, the company guy. And that's where I see like someone like a Cody or maybe even a Seth Rollins being more of an overall better pro wrestler, but in the ring, bell to bell, Ospreay may be the best right now.
Yeah,
like
I
match wise.
In the ring is Ospreay. Overall is probably either Cody or Seth.
Because that was like back in the day. Ric Flair may have been the best overall wrestler, but Shawn Michaels may have been the best, at least in the late 90s, mid to late 90s, best bell-to-bell wrestler. At least for me. There was always that thing of, who's the better wrestler? Is it Shawn? Is it Rick? And I'm like, Rick was better overall for everything, cutting promos and appearances and this and that, and you know. But I think Shawn, it's hard because Rick had better opponents, I felt, most of the time. Shawn had great opponents, Razor, Diesel, Brett, Austin. But I think in that late 80s period, before Ted Turner bought WCW and Jim Crockett Promotions, I think Rick had some of like just the best opponents anybody's ever had. Was back to this segment. Again, Ospreay called himself the best wrestler in the world. Strickland asked if Ospreay was going to rely on the Don Callis family yet again to win a match. Ospreay said that he didn't need the family. He could win this on his own. We then saw the Don Callis family watching backstage. Ospreay talked about beating Kenny Omega, Kazuchika Okada, Shingo Takagi, and Chris Jericho. He then made a WWE reference and said, well, you had a hit row. I had a hit list. And said it was he said, I had a hit list that I made good on. And said, what if the, quote, kill shot Strickland promised? And then he said, the sentiments are off and this and that. Ospreay said, whether it's the Stormbreaker, the Oscutter, the Hidden Blade, Strickland will wake up the next morning with pain. The pain of knowing that he is no longer a world champion. Ospreay said, if he decides to use the Tiger Driver 91, then Strickland won't wake up at all. Strickland then laughed. And he does that weird, fake, heel, maniacal Mercedes Moné laugh. And I'm just like, meh. You could tell that it's like a fake, oh, my spot is to laugh here kind of thing. But Strickland laughed and said Ospreay is relying on what ifs and talked about all the friends Ospreay has. Strickland said, I don't need friends. I don't have friends. I killed all my friends. He said, I did what I had to do to be the world champion. He then said, what if I go into the pay-per-view and break your leg? What if I break your arm? What are the fans going to think of you now? Strickland said that you can break his limbs, shave his head. He doesn't care. He's still the mogul that sacrifices everything, which Will Ospreay wouldn't. He said, you wouldn't sacrifice anything. Not your son, not your wife. Ospreay then goes, hey, don't bring my family into this. Don't talk about my son again. I didn't think you wanted to make this personal. Prince Nana then steps in and goes, whoa, hey. Let's calm down here. Let's think about the pay-per-view and Forbidden Door. Let's think about putting on the best match possible at that show. And I'm like, really? I didn't like that. When he said, let's talk about putting on the best match possible. That's not what this is supposed to be about. It's not supposed to be about putting on a 5-star match. It's supposed to be about winning the belt or retaining the belt. So when he said that, it already pulled me out of this. It pulled me out of what was actually pulling me in a little bit. And then right back to where I was of, this should be a good match. But it's like, don't tell us that you're worried about having a good match. No, you should be worried about either winning or retaining the belt. Nana then said whose house it is, and as the crowd was about to say Swerve's house, Will Ospreay grabbed the mic and said, my house. His music hits. He goes to jump out of the ring, and Swerve goes, nah, cut the music. He said, hey, Will, what if I do want to make this personal? When it comes to the AEW World title, it's always personal. When Will Ospreay goes home, in regards to Alan Harry again, Ospreay jumps in the ring, gets pissed off, gets right in the face of Swerve. They start trash talking each other. No punches were thrown or anything like that. Don Callis is shown backstage. He's all pissed off and whatnot. Trent Beretta's like, he disrespected us. And Callis is like, calm down. It's all going to be fine. Ospreay knows what he's doing. Ospreay better than everything we got and this and that and da-da-da. And so, yeah. What did you think of the segment itself?
I thought it was a good segment. I mean, like when they said used to have a hit row in WWE, I'm like, Jesus Christ. People are still giving WWE crap for releasing Swerve.
Right.
I mean, I get it, but like if he was still in WWE, like how do you think he would have been used? Would he just be used as like another Ricochet almost?
I think he'd be a little higher than Ricochet because Triple H really wanted him back. Like Triple H wanted him back so bad to the point where Triple H contacted him while he was under contract with AEW. So that shows you right there how bad Triple H wanted him and wanted to use him for the main roster. So I would say he's not going to be, going for the world title. He's not going to be going for the world heavyweight title, maybe the Raw title. But I would think that Swerve would be a guy fighting for that US or IC title. And granted, Ricochet did as well, but I think there's a better chance that he would win it than a Ricochet. Ricochet won it once, but just to be a transitional champion.
Well, if he was the one to dethrone Gunther?
That would have been interesting. Now, here's my thing. You think if Swerve would have came back, which he couldn't have at the time because he was signed to AEW, but if he would have, like if he could have, you think Hit Row would still be together, Top Dollar would still be in WWE and not have been, released again?
Probably, yeah.
Granted, Top Dollar is doing great things. AJ Francis in TNA and on the Indies. He just won some championship in Florida recently, so.
He's the digital media champion in TNA.
He's the digital media champion, and then I don't know what the company is, but he won a belt. It's the All Florida title. I saw him, he cut a promo, and he's like, I've only lived in Florida since 2013, but I'll do Florida proud. And I'm the All Florida champion.
His rivalry with Joe Henry in TNA was amazing.
Yes. Did you see?
That's
Oh, you're going to say the same thing I did, huh? When he was up on the perch and Joe Hendry sang that song about him at the pay-per-view?
You are, and from diving.
Yeah, no, that was great. That was great.
There was that, and there was the Cheez-Its one.
Yep.
The Cheez-Its champion.
As we move forward to the All-Star 8-man battle, it was a 8-man tag team match. Mark Briscoe, Kyle O'Reilly, Orange Cassidy, Dante Martin, taking on Ricochet, Konosuke Takeshita, Kyle Fletcher, and Zack Sabre Jr. Now, I know someone's going to say, you missed the Mark Briscoe promo. I know. I didn't write anything down from that because I was doing some other things, getting things set up in here and trying to fix my computer because my camera wasn't working right. So I know there was a promo with Mark Briscoe at one point and like all the guys in this match. And Mark Briscoe was cutting a hell of a promo, going off. Mark Briscoe is such a great talker. When he gets in his groove, just going and going, oh my God, is it amazing. But I didn't write anything down from the promo, unfortunately. So, interestingly, though, you got Mark Briscoe and Dante Martin on the same team here. They're going to fight each other for that TNT title at the pay-per-view. That was an interesting move for this match. And they did mention that a few times. But the match starts off, and everybody not Orange Cassidy and Zack Sabre Jr. slug it out at the bell because, well, they're fighting at the pay-per-view, so you want to keep them apart for now. Cassidy took a sweet time to get ready. Sabre allowed it. Fletcher didn't, as he steamrolled Cassidy before taking out Briscoe with a dive. O'Reilly trapped Strong with a leg lock in the ropes as Briscoe set up a chair in the ring, tried to dive, but was cut off, by Takeshita. Cassidy then cut him off, leaving Sabre to lock in a submission in the ropes as well. Briscoe then managed his catapult dive as Martin hit a massive Hurricane Rana on Takeshita before a double jump dive wiped out a pile of guys on the outside. Back from a commercial break, Cassidy and Sabre had a fast break, and there was some back and forth and whatnot. Sabre nearly got a snazzy roll up for a 2 before applying a cravat. There's a blind tag from Takeshita, who leveled Cassidy with a haymaker, but Strong made the aggressive tag, upsetting Takeshita. Also, Takeshita, I don't know if you saw, he's going to be gone for like a month because he's doing G1 this year. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I saw that.
So he's going to miss about a month of action. Also, here's a crazy stat. If Naito doesn't beat Jon Moxley for the AEW or the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship at Forbidden Door, this year will be the first time since I want to say 2008 the IWGP champion is not in G1. If Moxley retains at Forbidden Door. If Naito gets the belt, then the champ will be in G1.
I think Naito should get the belt.
I mean, I can see them not putting the belt back on Naito and keeping it on Moxley. I can see it.
I can as well, but it's like... I think it should go back to Naito.
Oh, I do too. I think Naito should retain or regain.
It's like, what is Moxley like really done as like the champion? Like, has he done anything like in a positive direction?
I mean, kind of. People are liking him when he shows up in Japan, but that is exactly Naito's challenge here. Naito is saying, "Hey, I'm going to bring the title back here, so that way on all these tours we're doing, you're getting a world champion, because that guy is never around." That was the whole reason for Naito saying, "I'm going to challenge and try to get the title back at Forbidden Door." And then Moxley then said, "I'm going to kill Naito and end his career."
I think Naito should get the belt back. He's in New Japan all the time.
Yeah.
Mox is hardly ever there. They probably want a champion that's there all the time.
And that's my thing. It's been since April when Moxley won the belt. It's been long enough that the champion's not around. You don't need a Roman Reigns in AEW where he's only around for the big shows. Or not AEW, New Japan. Because it's not like Moxley's on Dynamite every week either. He's not even showing up in AEW every week. If he was with that belt, that would be a completely different story for me. But it's like, he's not in AEW every week. He's not in New Japan on every show. So it's like, come on, what are you doing here? Also, did you see Renee Paquette's Instagram post? Jon Moxley dropped his, I don't know, she said threw his phone in a bonfire last night.
I did not see that.
Yeah, his phone was all burnt up. And then she said the most Jon Moxley thing I've ever read. John may not even get another phone. Send the carrier pigeons if you ever need to contact him. That's like the most Jon Moxley thing, to not want a cell phone and be disconnected from the world.
That's funny.
Yeah. Like, to me, that's like the most Jon Moxley thing that I've heard in a long time, because that's who he is. He doesn't like social media. He doesn't like, always being able to be contacted. He likes being disconnected when he's not at work. He's just an old school kind of guy. Back to the match, though. Briscoe made a hot tag at one point when we came back from the second break, planting Takeshita with a rolling Death Valley driver and a foggy bow as O'Reilly hit a top rope knee. Dante Martin hit a splash, and Cassidy fell down from the top to do a thumbs up for a 2. Cassidy then wanted an orange punch, but Sabre trapped the leg, allowing a haluva kick from Takeshita. The match then completely broke down with high-impact moves from everybody, till finally Takeshita ate a Stun Dog Millionaire, a dive from Martin, who also wiped out the Kingdom, who was at ringside. Briscoe hit a blockbuster on the apron. As back inside the ring, Sabre and Cassidy had a series of counters before Sabre nearly got a pin off the European clutch. O'Reilly and Cassidy then hit a total elimination on Fletcher, as Cassidy fired off an orange punch on Strong to get the win and pick up the victory in this jam-packed, just party match. Nothing special here. It was just like, hey, we got 8 guys. We want to throw them all in a match. Go for it. It wasn't bad, but I wouldn't call it great either. It was just a match. Any thoughts?
I mean, yeah, it was kind of just a match.
So, video package plays. Just hyping up the Mercedes Moné Stephanie Vicure match, the double title match of Forbidden Door. Moné thanked her for sending Zeuxis last week. Moné said that she's making history all over the globe, and there's a price to pay when you mess with Mercedes Moné. Cameron's then caught up with Roosh backstage, where he my notes just froze. Give me 1 second to refresh it. There we go. Cameron's caught up with Roosh backstage, where a hand was placed on his shoulder. And it was Don Callis, who said something in Spanish before walking away. Please don't tell me Roosh is going to join the Don Callis family. We don't need more people in this goddamn group.
I mean, yeah, we don't need any more. We already got Aussie Open, Hobbs, Takeshita, and Trent Beretta. We don't need any more.
Yeah, no.
Wait, who's Kyle Fletcher's tag partner again? I keep forgetting his name.
Mark Davis, but he's out injured. Also,
when is he coming back?
I don't know. Mark Davis or Kyle Fletcher was actually asked this in a recent interview, and he was like, all I can say right now is it's not my story to talk about and tell. Mark will tell everybody what's going on when the time is right. So, and also, the whole Don Callis Roosh thing, I don't know if the crowd even saw this, because there was like no crowd reaction for this segment. So I don't know if they even saw it. We then had an eliminator match, which actually worked in favor of being an eliminator match for the first time I've ever seen. The Acclaimed actually beat the Young Bucks. Usually we do these eliminator matches and the champions just win and retain. Not this time. Not retain, but win, and then we don't go forward with it. Not this time, though. The Acclaimed actually picked up the victory here, which kind of shocked me. So, Young Bucks come out for their entrance. We already talked about this, where there was the whole thing of, oh, those are our bosses, and they can do da-da-da-da. And then you have Tony Schiavone going, no, I work for Tony Khan, and this and that, and duh. So it's like, still kind of weird. Max Caster comes out to do his rap. He's like, listen. His mic was cut off. Okada's then shown on the screen, and he's like pressing buttons on the thing. He goes, uh-oh, I pressed the wrong button, bitch. I laughed at that.
I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, because he's literally like looking at this screen in front of him going, boop, 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 boop. And then he's like, oh no, what did I do? I pressed the wrong button. And then he like pauses for a second. And he's like, bitch. It's funny because like, he's saying like, oh, like, I'm sorry kind of way. And then he's just super serious when he says, bitch. So the Bucks actually attacked before the bell, but Caster and Bowens quickly took over. Match officially begins with a Scissor Me Timbers as Bowens started selling his taped up hamstring, which Matthew drop kicked. Caster then crashed and burned on the outside as the match went to a commercial break with the Young Bucks in charge. Despite the bad leg, Bowens made the hot tag at one point when things returned from the break, but ran wild too much, and the leg eventually did give out when he tried to go for a famouser. Matthew fired off a super kick, but only got a 2 off of it. He was hung up in the ropes, and the Bucks hit a draping senton off the top, but Caster made the save. Bowens dodged an EVP trigger and mounted a comeback, but again, the Bucks went after the leg with a super kick. The Bucks then pumped up their shoes and hit a super kick party, but again, Caster made the save, only to be thrown to the outside. Bowens then got free from the TK driver, but Matthew took out the referee and got a low blow. The EVP trigger then connected, but for the third time, Caster broke up the pin. Caster was then dumped into the front row as the Bucks hit the Motor City Machine Guns made in Detroit finisher, and I'm like, oh, is that a tease? We know they've been talking. Bowens, though, kicked out on his own. Matthew then tried to use the belt, but Rick Knox took it from him as Nicholas tried the belt shot, but decked his brother. Bowens then hit the arrival. Caster connected with the mic drop, giving the Acclaimed the victory. And so this would then now give them a title shot against the Young Bucks going forward. Daddy Ass then hit the ring, and they all celebrated. What do you think of the match? And now the Acclaimed earning a title shot. Also, that's the key word there. I like that somebody earned something in AEW.
I mean, at first, I didn't really have any high expectations for this match because I feel like in every eliminator, they always had the champions win.
Exactly.
So going into it, I didn't really have high expectations, but honestly, I'm happy with the Acclaim getting a title shot here. I think it makes sense.
I also think that the Acclaimed, maybe just Caster and Bowens, maybe not Billy, are going to be part of this blood and guts as well. With, Elite on one side, Swerve on the other, with Bowens and Caster. They're really building them up as now big rivals and opponents right now for the Young Bucks.
They're building them up as the tag team that's going to go up against them in blood and guts since FTR's hurt.
Yeah, most likely. And I like that. I like that they're not just, because at first it was like, why the hell are they Acclaimed in this? They've done nothing for a while. But I like that they gave them the win tonight. They made them the number one. I just think that they did the right thing here because, like you said, if it's got the Eliminator tag on it, we shouldn't normally care about these matches.
Right.
Samoa Joe and Hook were backstage. They were walking around backstage where they were going to rush the Premier Athletes dressing room, and Joe said he's tired of dealing with them, but wants Hook to be extra. They bust open the door. They aren't there. As a note challenging Joe, Hook and Shibata to a 6-man on Collision is issued. Joe accepts, and Shibata said that he's going to beat up those goofy bitches. And speaking of goofy, we got the AEW Women's World Title match contract signing with Toni Storm and Mina Shirakawa. And holy crap, my thought in this was, what did I just watch? What the crap did I watch? Mariah May is the host of the signing and introduces both ladies to the ring. And I go, what kind of authority do you got to host a contract signing, little lady? Anyways, May said that no matter what happens, she loves both of them. Shirakawa cuts her off and tells her to shut up, saying, in Stardom, Storm was a gem. And in AEW, she's become a star. As AEW Women's World Champion, she's gotten soft and weak. As everybody says, we want Mina. She's going to take her title and her girl before signing the contract. Storm said that she'll slap Shirakawa's tits off if she raises her voice to May one more time. If Shirakawa wants Toni Storm, this buffet is wide open, so grab a bowl and line up. Storm has advice: chin up, tits out, and watch for the shoe. Signing the contract as well. May said that it's official, and Shirakawa demands that she must choose between the two of them, Mariah May, that is. This is when we then get Harley Cameron and Saraya. They charge out from the back, saying that they're sick of them. She didn't come alone. Anna Jay pulled Shirakawa out of the ring and attacked. As back inside the ring, May and Storm were laid out as Cameron and Jay set up the table in the corner. Storm then hit the ring, leveling everyone with the shoe and Sweet Cheek Music. And I was just like, what are we doing here? This makes no sense of anything. Why is Saraya and Harley Cameron mad at them? I get it. They had some matches like a month ago, but this came out of nowhere, and like Anna Jay's now involved. It's just one of those wacky, we got to get a bunch of people involved in bullshit AEW stuff. What do you think of all this? I guess at the end, they made a 6-man tag where it's going to be Saraya, Harley Cameron, and Anna Jay against Mina Shirakawa, Toni Storm, and Mariah May.
Yeah, this contract signing was pretty silly. A lot of the Toni Storm stuff lately has been like very lackluster.
Like, it's hit and miss for me. Most of the time, I'm not a fan of the character, but then there's just sometimes Tony will throw out a video that I'm like, oh, that was actually really good. Like, that was entertaining. That was very, like, I'm not a super fan of the character like a lot of people are. But then, like I said, sometimes she'll do videos in this character where I'm like, oh, that was a good one. I really liked that.
I mean, trying to think. Like, at first, her gimmick was good because it was like something different.
Right.
But now, like, it just hasn't like done anything for me.
I could see that. Moving forward, we got a video for the Owen Hart Cup. This is where they talked about the brackets, which we talked about earlier. And we got our first Owen Hart Cup match on the women's side. It was Chris Statlander versus Nyla Rose. I thought this match was really good. I thought these two worked well together. I thought the commercial break in the middle kind of took me out of it a little bit. And I almost wanted more, if I'm going to be completely honest. I thought Statlander and Rose was good. I really enjoyed this match. And the crowd seemed to as well. They were chanting for Nyla Rose early on, who showed off her power, mowing down Chris Statlander with a crossbody. Rose then took too long to follow up, though, which allowed Statlander to send her crashing to the floor into a commercial break. When things finally returned, Rose turned Statlander inside out with a clothesline and followed it up in the corner with a cannonball for a 2. Statlander escaped the Beast Bomb and decked Rose with a great-looking scissor kick and got a near fall off of it. Statlander then went to the top, but missed a 450 and ate a Rose flying elbow for a 2. Both then fought to the corner where Statlander hit a charging boot and a wildly impressive tombstone piledriver to pick up the victory. Statlander does advance in the tournament and will face, I didn't look, who is she facing next? She will now face the winner of Willow Nightingale and Serena Deeb on Rampage. Well, that match is on Rampage, and then we'll go forward where Statlander will face either of those. Probably going to end up being Willow versus Statlander in the next round. What'd you think of the match?
It was okay. I mean, nothing crazy or anything. I kind of knew Statlander would win.
Yeah, like the finish was predictable, I would say, but I thought the match was way better than most people would probably expect. Let me get post-match. Stokely said if Nightingale ever puts hands on him, she'll be pop locking in a jail cell like Justin Timberlake. Did you hear about that stuff with Justin Timberlake getting arrested?
Yeah, my mom told me about that.
So, did you hear that the cop didn't even know who he was?
I did not hear that.
So apparently, the cop, when he was arresting him or whatever for the DWI, Justin Timberlake goes, "This is going to ruin my tour." And the cop goes, "What tour?" He goes, "My world tour." The cop had no clue who Justin Timberlake was, just like seeing him. I don't know if he didn't know who Justin Timberlake was overall, but like in the moment when he was arresting him, he didn't know he was Justin Timberlake, the singer and whatnot.
I mean, I have a hard time sometimes putting like faces to celebrities' names.
Right.
Like I know the names, but I just can't really remember what they look like.
That was like when Liv Morgan got arrested. They had no clue who she was until they started going through her stuff and go, "She's a wrestler. Oh, I know who she is now."
Yeah.
And so Stokely said that Nightingale, Stokely said he's going to make her pop a lock in a jail cell like Justin Timberlake. Willow then appeared on the big screen and congratulated Statlander on her win, but said when she defeats Serena Deeb on Rampage, there will be no running in the second round. So we're finally going to get, well, not finally, because do you feel like this is a little rushed to get Willow versus Statlander already? She just turned on her like 2 weeks ago.
I wouldn't say rushed.
Well, I mean, they
Like,
didn't.
do you think it's rushed?
If it's next week, maybe a little bit, but they haven't actually told us when the match is taking place. I would have liked to see a little more build Because it's like she turned on her. Then they kind of had the one thing where they teased the mixed tag, and now boom, they're going to fight in the second round of the tournament. Okay, cool. I don't know. I just feel like I would have liked to see a little more build.
Yeah, I get that.
Because that's the thing with AEW. It's either they rush things or they forget about things for a while and then all of a sudden they just do it later. They never, I just feel like if it's not a main event kind of thing or for like a main championship, they don't build things up enough, at least for my liking. Moving forward, Renee Paquette's backstage to Private Party, who said that they're taking their momentum from attacking Chris Jericho and the Learning Tree last week into their match on Rampage. Jericho loudly walks in and says that he still wants to give his branches a lesson. When Jericho was a luchador, he always avoided the pile driver and said whenever the move was suggested to him, he would say, "That doesn't work for me, brother." Okay, this was just a nothing segment at all. Then we got...
Yeah. I don't really know what they're going with this. Are they still... Is this eventually going to lead to Private Party joining the Learning Tree?
So I think, because they need their tag team for the faction.
I feel so bad for Private Party. I really do. They need to get out of that company. They're basically get tossed with like every random faction. Like,
true, but go where though? I don't think they'd fit in WWE. They might work in TNA.
they would definitely work in TNA. They wouldn't work in WWE because they already got the Street Profits.
Well, even at that, I just feel like I don't know. There's something about the Private Party to me that just doesn't feel like the WWE at all. Like they would just not work, even if there wasn't no Street Profits. I just feel like they wouldn't work in WWE at all for some reason. I don't know if it's their style. I don't know if it's their style.
They work in NXT,
maybe, but I also think. I think it might be because we know that if they go to WWE, their gimmick's gonna be toned down some. So they're going to be more of a, what would I say? Like they're the party guys, but they're not going to be like, I don't know. I just feel like their gimmick and everything, they'd be toned down too much in WWE from what they are. But yeah, you're right. They would probably work pretty well in TNA. I don't know what their contract situation is. Going forward, we had Daniel Garcia versus Rhett Titus. Like I mentioned earlier, I felt like Daniel Garcia was working as a heel in this match. We also had Daddy Magic on commentary. But Titus rushed Garcia at the bell and mocked his dance. But ate a shotgun dropkick for his troubles. A rolling twist and shout from Garcia, who slapped on a guillotine choke before planting him with an implant DDT for a quick victory. Not much to this, unless the match itself. But then, everything was the post-match. And again, when I say AEW likes to throw just a bunch of people out there and do random that's what this was. Just a lot of thrown together. So, Matt Menard's on commentary, and all of a sudden we just hear, "Oh my God, what's going on?" And the Gates of Agony are attacking and choking him. Cage and Hechicero then hit the ring, and they attack Garcia. They hit triple swinging power bomb. And then MJF runs out to make the save. He tackles Hechicero. MJF then bit the face of Cage and hit a double low blow on both Leona and Khan. The numbers were too much. Cage then hit a German suplex, and Hechicero pounced and wrenched at the arm of MJF before Will Ospreay. This made no sense. Why is Will Ospreay coming out here to help? This makes no sense at all. But Will Ospreay comes out. The numbers are now even. He does a double handspring Pele kick. He connects, leaving Ospreay and MJF to bump into each other in the ring. They kind of face off loudly. There's a holy shit chance. People want to see MJF and Will Ospreay. MJF then left through the crowd as Garcia stared at Ospreay's International Championship before being helped out of the ring. And yeah, I don't know what this was. All this is it's building up Brian Cage challenging for the International Championship. What did we see here?
Yeah, I think it's eventually going to lead to Daniel Garcia like getting a title shot off of Ospreay. But do you think he wins?
No. No, I don't think. I think Ospreay's going to be. I think Ospreay's either going to be a double champion till All In, or they're going to merge the international and the world. Because you don't need the international, the TNT, and the Continental. You don't need all three. Why don't you just have Will Ospreay beat Swerve and merge the two, the world and the international?
There's a few belts in AEW that they don't need.
That's true. And Tony's also wanted to bring in more. He keeps saying, well, I don't know if he keeps, but he said once or twice, mixed tag titles. Because no one else in America does it. And I get that.
You don't need those.
I get it. Be different, but it's not needed. How many mixed teams do they actually have? They've got Trenton and Stat. They've got Willow and Orange. And then what? Sammy and Ty when they come back? That's it. What do you got? You going to do Saraya and her brother Zach? Or Ricky, whatever. No, it's Zach.
Julia and Malachi Black.
Julia's out hurt right now, but yeah, you got that too in your back pocket. Well, Julia and Annie.
Or Julia. No, actually,
it would probably be Julia and Brody.
King,
yeah. They've done more with them. Yeah. Yeah, they've done more with them. I mean, it could be Julia and Annie, remember? But yeah, Julia and Brody would make more sense. Especially that would be their Alexa Bliss Braun Strowman, the big guy and the little girl. We go to the back of Renee Paquette. Go for it.
Ooh, what if they did Christian Cage and Nick Wayne's mom?
She ain't wrestling. Mother Wayne ain't wrestling.
Hey, you never know. Anything's possible.
Yeah, I know. In this company, goddamn, they'll try anything. Which, again, why I say they remind me a lot of WCW.
She's on the active roster.
Well, yeah, but so is Stokely Hathaway, and he ain't wrestling.
He wrestled.
Ish. But like I said, that's why sometimes I compare this company to WCW, because they'll try the wacky off the wall, I hope it works kind of stuff, just like WCW did. So connecting this whole thing with more stuff, Renee Paquette catches up with Will Ospreay backstage and asked, what was that with MJF? Ospreay said that he doesn't care about MJF. He was there to help Daniel Garcia. Why? Am I missing something here? Has there been a Daniel Garcia, Will Ospreay friendship brewing? Not that I've seen. Brian Cage then storms in, being held back by security, yelling that he wants the international championship. Ospreay then says, sure, you can have a shot on Saturday at Collision. So we're getting Will Ospreay defending the title against Brian Cage on Collision. And what I say earlier, I'm glad that the Acclaimed earned their upcoming title shot. Brian Cage didn't earn shit. Cage was then taken away as Ospreay gave a look at his belt like he was concerned. You almost get a sense like the title defenses will catch up to Will Ospreay eventually. So we'll see. Maybe you are right about Daniel Garcia being the one that could take the title off of Ospreay. I don't know, though.
If it were to happen, it would probably be because of a distraction.
I mean, unless, how many weeks do we have till Forbidden Door? 2? Not this weekend, but the next, right?
Yeah, I think 2.
So that probably wouldn't work. But I would say, what if we do get either next week on Dynamite or the night before? Oh, okay. The night before on Collision, night before Forbidden Door, we do get that Will Ospreay, Daniel Garcia title match, and Swerve screws Will Ospreay out of the belt.
Maybe.
To make it more personal. Remember, Swerve said, I want to make this personal. What if I want to make this personal? Well, screwing him out of the international title would make it personal. But again, it's not happening this weekend. So we've only got, I doubt they do it on a Rampage. So we've only got either next week's Dynamite or next week's Collision to do it if they were to do that. Then we move forward to our main event of the night. Great match between Pac and Claudio Castagnoli in the first round of the Owen Hart Foundation Cup. I thought this match was really good. I thought these two worked great together. Bryan Danielson was on commentary. And the match started off really fast. with Pac hitting a quick drop kick as Claudio regrouped on the outside, but it was a sucker Pac in who made the chase and ate a pop-up uppercut. Danielson, who was on commentary for this main event match, was informed by Excalibur that his first round match against Shingo Takagi, which he knew about, will be taking place at Forbidden Door. Claudio then controlled the action through the entire commercial break, as we saw that in picture-in-picture. Back from the picture-in-picture break, Pac sidestepped a charge, and Classic Newly posted him in the process. There's a Hurricane Rana off the apron and an Acai moonsault, perfectly hit by Pac. Then, that even Danielson could not praise. Like, he was like, oh man, what a great moonsault there by Pac. So, like, I love that it's his teammate, his stablemate, his friend Claudio in the match. But when he sees great moves, even him's gonna go, oh damn, yeah, gotta give him his props there. Claudio looked like he was going to catch a Pac moonsault off the apron, but Pac spun into a DDT and a top rope springboard elbow back inside for a 2. Both men then traded strikes as Pac wanted a shooting star press, but rolled through and was decked by a violent Castagnoli uppercut for a 2. Castagnoli did the giant swing as Pac was flailing around the entire 10 revolutions before being leveled by another lariat and got a near fall off of it. There was a Ricola bomb countered into a brutalizer on Castagnoli, who was standing and then started to fade, but Castagnoli rolled out into a sharpshooter transition into a crossface. We got a crazy amount of pinfall attempts here. Just boom, 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 boom. Whoop, whoop, bah. Pac pins him out of nowhere. And I loved on commentary when Danielson goes, hey, when you're trading cradles that much, eventually one guy's going to get tired out and the other guy's going to catch him. And that's what we got tonight. Pac caught Claudio. Claudio, super upset with himself. But there we go. Pac now moves forward in the tournament. We'll face either Bryan Danielson or Shingo in the next round. I assume it's Bryan. Before we small little post match here. Not really much, but Pac was going to show respect to Claudio, but Claudio shrugged it off. He looked at Danielson on commentary like he was disappointed in himself, like I stated. He said something that I didn't catch, and then Pac stared down Danielson because he knows they're possibly facing soon, and the show goes off the air. So what did you think of the match itself here between Pac and Claudio?
It was a decent match. Honestly, I thought Claudio was going to win since they had Danielson on commentary.
I really wanted to see, I wanted to see Claudio versus Danielson, but it's like, well, we got that in the Continental Classic.
That and like the ending made it almost seem like, what if Claudio ends up like leaving the BCC?
I noticed that as well. Like, I had that thought when he looked at Bryan, almost disappointed in himself, kind of like, I don't deserve to be in this group right now, kind of a thing. Also, if you are watching live on Twitch, the poll is now live, but go for it. You were about to say something?
I just feel like ever since Claudio's been like AEW, ever since he like lost the Ring of Honor World title, I feel like he's also just been one of those guys where he's just lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, he hasn't felt the same.
Even him being in the BCC, I feel like he's just been like lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, I agree. There's just something that feels
disappointing because
something feels off, and he's like, especially with Wheeler Yuta's been gone, he's now like the fall guy, the guy that's, if the BCC's got to lose, it's going to be Claudio.
Like, it almost feels like he's being used like the same way he was in WWE.
Ish, yeah, I can see that. But with that, we got some stuff announced for Rampage, Collision, and next week's Dynamite. As far as Rampages go, this Friday, Private Party will be taking on the Team Commander and Metalik. Willow Nightingale versus Serena Deeb in an opening round match of the Owen Hart Foundation Cup. And then in a TNT ladder match qualifier, TNT title match ladder match qualifier, it will be Leo Rush versus Action Andretti. Who do you got making it into the ladder match? Leo Rush or Action Andretti?
I'd guess probably Leo Rush.
That's what I would say too. As far as Collision does go, Will Ospreay will defend the AEW International Championship against Brian Cage. Kazuchika Okada will defend, well, no, not defend, but in an eliminator match. Kazuchika Okada versus Ultimo Dragon. And when I saw Ultimo Dragon's picture pop up on the screen, I said the same thing. I think it was Taz that said. He's just like, Ultimo Dragon. And I said the same thing. I'm like, Ultimo Dragon? What the hell? Well, that's a crazy one. Okada versus Ultimo Dragon. We also know the Samoa
He's
Joe.
so old.
I know.
Like how old is Ultimo Dragon?
I don't know, but he's usually just the guy in the random tag matches.
He's 50. He's 57.
Jeez. Well, ain't.
It's not,
I mean,
it's not ancient. It's not ancient or anything, but for a luchador, that's pretty old.
like I said, he usually does the multi-man matches. Nope, him versus Okada on Collision. So that's a crazy one.
Okada's probably gonna carry him.
I don't know if Ultimo Dragon needs to be carried though. That's the thing. I think he can still go pretty well. But we also have Samoa
No,
Joe.
but like as far as like speed though,
Maybe. We also have Samoa Joe, Hook, and Katsuyori Shibata against the Premier Athletes. And Private Party will be taking on Big Bill and Chris Jericho. As far as next week's AEW Rampage does go, Swerve, Strickland, and Will Ospreay will take on the Gates of Agony, which again, why the fuck are they teaming together when Swerve says, I want to make it personal, and then brings up his family? Why the hell are they teaming together? I do not like that at all. Then we got Timeless Tony Storm, Mariah May, Mina Shirakawa against Saraya, Harley Cameron, and Anna Jay. Another one where it's like, they're opponents at the frickin' pay-per-view. Why are they teaming together? And the Switchblade Jay White versus Ray Phoenix in a first-round match in the Owen Cup. So that is the next 3 AEW shows. As far as the polls do go, you know what we thought of the show. Now it's time to hear what you guys thought of tonight's AEW Dynamite. As far as the Threads poll does go, everybody that voted liked the show. As far as the Twitter X poll does go, 52% liked the show, 52% liked the show, 26% thought it was just all right, and 21% didn't like it. Looking at the YouTube community poll, 60% liked it, 20% thought it was just all right, and 20% didn't like it. Person says, tonight was a good night of AEW, and the other person says, I liked it. As far as the YouTube live poll does go, 73% liked the show, 18% thought it was just all right, and 8% didn't like it. Finally, the Twitch poll, everybody that voted thought it was just all right. But with that, guys, I want to say thank you for joining us here. Twitch.tv/PWU Unlimited, YouTube.com/Pro Wrestling Unlimited, and podcast services all around the globe like Stitcher, Spotify, Google Pod, Apple Pod, Anchor, iHeartRadio, and so much more. But Luke, tell them where they can find you.
You can find me over at Twitter X at Petke_21. And you can also find me over at Twitch at Young Grasshopper Luke.
With that, guys, have a great rest of your night. Have a great rest of your week. And we'll be back live here on Friday for Friday Night SmackDown. Have a good one, guys.